Hey everyone, in this video, I'll answer the age-old question, why are my Amazon sales down? Many sellers that I speak to are down year over year or down month over month. They have no idea why, and therefore they're never going to be able to solve it. So in this video, I'll teach you every possible reason that your sales might be down, and I'll show you how to identify them in your account and fix them as well. Let's dive right in. Alright, so before we get into specifics, I want to first explain what creates Amazon sales. So Amazon sales is basically a product of the amount of traffic you're getting, how well you're converting this traffic, and how much you get from each customer on average, or your average order value whenever they buy something from your store. Therefore, any increase or decrease of your revenue is going to be a factor of one of these three things. That's why in this video, we'll break it down to three different sections, covering traffic, an average order value, and conversion rate, and hopefully explaining every possible reason that each of these might go down and what you can do to fix it, if it's even fixable at all. Let's get started. Alright, first things first, we're going to start with traffic. So when it comes to traffic, the first thing I try to look at is search volume. This is something that can greatly affect your business, your sessions, and obviously at the end of the day, your revenue. A lot of sellers aren't checking for it or measuring it at all. Generally, search volume is one of the first things that I check, and there are a few ways you can check it. So the first way I like to use is to just head into Amazon, go to brand analytics, and then head to the search query performance report. Then once you're there, you can download the most recent one. So I usually use monthly. So I download this month, and I'll also do the month before that, and I'll put them side by side and check for the same search queries if the volume has gone up or down for the number of searches that are happening. You can also do this for the number of purchases as well to see if the entire market is going up or down, right? If it's going down and your business is down, then that's natural and it's going to happen anyway. But if everything's flat or it's going up even and you're down, then you definitely don't have a search volume problem. And the bad thing about the search volume problem is there's not that much you can do about it. Like, you can't force people to start searching for your product search terms again. So generally, you're just going to have to wait it out until the search volume goes back up, if ever. The second big thing that might affect traffic is your click-through rate, which is basically the percentage of people who see your product and end up clicking on it. And there are a few factors here. The main two are price and reviews. So the first thing that might have happened is your review score or your price have changed significantly, and that's affecting your click-through rate. So an example of this is a client that we worked with changed their prices in the summer of this year, and they increased them a lot, and a lot of people weren't willing to consider purchasing a product at this price, and the amount of clicks that they were getting started decreasing rapidly, right? So that's one thing that could have happened to your business. Another thing is you guys are accumulating more and more bad reviews, and those bad reviews are piling up, and your review score went from a 4.3 to a 4.1 to maybe now like a 3.7, and people aren't willing to buy your product at a 3.7 star like rating, right? And that's causing your traffic to drop. So it could be price or reviews changing for your product, or it could be new people coming in with better prices and better reviews. Like, you're used to selling your stuff for $20, and that was fine for the last few years, but now someone from China just came in and they're selling it at $12, right? And they're doing a bunch of questionable stuff, and they managed to accumulate 10,000 reviews, right? And now you have a 1,500 review listing that you own with a 4.3 star average rating and a $20 product, and they have a 10,000 review listing with a 4.7 star product, and like it's selling for $12, right? And people are no longer going to click on your product as often as they did before that other person started offering theirs. So this is another thing. So either your own price and reviews have changed, and that's affecting how people perceive your product and their willingness to check out your product listing and consider buying it. And then the other option is you've stayed the exact same way, but someone else who has a more interesting offer has come in and they're stealing your limelight, right? So it's one of these two things. You just have to either keep an eye on both using Keepa for your own price tracking, or just like know your competitive market and know how well the others are performing and what they have out there. So you can see how your offer matches what they have, or maybe like even exceeds what they have, and stays competitive and stays something that people want to buy or not. And if it's not, then you have to figure out how to solve that. The third option when it comes to traffic, if your search volume is the same and your click-through rate hasn't dropped, is that your organic or PPC performance is lacking. What I see a lot is people make some changes in their ads, where they onboard a new agency or a new software tool, and they maybe pause or archive a lot of old campaigns. Maybe they switch things up with the keywords they're targeting, and they essentially decrease ad spend a lot or just mess up how their ads are working. They end up losing a lot of their traffic through that, or their ads are functioning fine, but the organic has just like taken a nosedive, right? So your ads are running as they always were, but you're seeing the total sessions go down, even though the number of clicks you're getting is constant, and that just means that your organic is falling, right? And generally, what you might want to do is start to track your keyword ranking on your most important keywords and see if that's dropping. And then also heading back into the Search Query Performance Report in Brand Analytics, which is a report from earlier, and checking if your percentage share of the clicks happening on your most important search terms is dropping or not. And if it is, you can try adding those keywords into your listing content. You can try spending more on ads for these keywords and also studying which listings are now taking the positions they used to be in, because if you're going down, someone else is going up. So figuring out who's going up and why that's happening can be very useful for you to regain this organic position. So that pretty much sums it up for traffic. I think traffic dropping is like a huge deal for most sellers, and I'd say like 50-60% of sellers who've had revenue go down also have decreasing traffic year over year. So if it is happening to you, do check search volume, do check click-through rates, and do check your ads and organic, and try to figure out what's happening and see if it's reversible or not. The next point I want to discuss is AOV, or average order value. AOV is the dollar amount that each customer spends on average in your store per order. This can be affected by a few things. It could be affected by the price of the product that they're buying. So if you're selling $500 products, you're going to have a much higher AOV than someone who's selling $10 products. And it can also be affected by the number of units that they purchase. So even if you sell cheaper products, if someone's ordering 100 units, maybe it's a product that's sold to businesses, they're buying in bulk, that could give you a very high AOV. So your average order value going down can negatively impact revenue. And usually the way this materializes is you go into business reports and you see that your number of units sold is up year over year or month over month, but your revenue is still down. Or maybe it's flat year over year and month over month, and your revenue is also still down, which means that you might be getting the same number of units sold or the same number of orders, but you're just making less money because each customer is spending less with you on average. There are a few reasons I see this happen. One reason is that sellers might have dropped their prices, which might have increased units sold, but didn't increase at a high enough rate to cover the decrease in average order value. So maybe you took your product from $12 down to $10 and you grew your units sold a bit, but since you're making $2 less per product, your revenue is still down, right? And your profit is also probably still down. So it just didn't cover, like the actual growth didn't cover the haircut that you took in the actual product's price. So that's one option. Another option is that a lot of sellers continue to launch more and more cheap products. Like I worked with a guy who launched out of $10, $15 products. Then over time, number one, his margin eroded because ads are very expensive. All these costs with selling on Amazon are very expensive, and he was no longer profitable. And then the second thing is like he saw unit growth like go up a ton, but his actual revenue wasn't up that much because he had taken his eyes off the main products, which were selling for more money, and he was just trying to fuel growth with these newer, cheaper products, and those cheaper products couldn't make up for the revenue loss that they saw with their more expensive product line. So basically, launching new products that are cheaper can do this to you. Decreasing prices but not seeing significant unit growth can also do this to you. You have other things that might happen, like your higher AOV products falling off without you having to release anything new. So sometimes you have a large catalog, you might have like 5,000-6,000 products, and part of that catalog is higher average order value, and that part starts to do worse this year. And you're not paying attention to it until you see your revenue growth is down, even though your units sold are the same. At that time, you connect the dots and you figure out like, oh, hey, this is what happened. So it's generally one of these three things. Other things can happen as well, like people changing the variation that they go for. Like you might have a 2-pack that used to be very popular, and then people aren't buying that 2-pack as often as they used to. They're just buying the 1-pack. Maybe that 2-pack is out of stock now, so people are buying the 1-pack, and 1-pack goes for less money, and that has brought down your average order value. So it's usually one of these things. You have to figure out what it is, and if it's a few of your products in your catalog not doing as well as they used to, and those used to be the high AOV ones, you need to then go back into the traffic and conversion section of this video and try to figure out why the revenue went down, right? So if you're not decreasing prices and if you haven't launched new products, you have to focus on finding out which ones aren't doing as well, and then figuring out through traffic and conversion why that might have happened. All right, so the final piece of the puzzle is your conversion rate. So what might happen is that your traffic is constant, you're getting the same average order value for all of the orders that are coming in, but your revenue is still down. And at that point, usually what happens is your conversion rate has dropped, which means that you're converting a smaller share of the sessions that you're getting into actual customers. And again, there are a few reasons that this happens, and we're going to cover them all. All right, so the first reason this might happen is that there's just been a category-wide drop in conversion rates. It doesn't make as much sense as a search volume drop, but it does happen, and it is something that we've observed across some of the sellers that we work with. You can figure this out, again, by going into the Search Query Performance Report, looking at clicks and sales at different periods, and just doing the math yourself. So in May, for example, if there were 1,000 clicks and 200 purchases, that gives you a 20% conversion rate. Whereas last month in November, you had 1,000 clicks and only 120 purchases, that gives you a 12% conversion rate. So the entire category's conversion rate has gone down in this time. So this is one possibility and something that you again should measure for and see if it's actually happening. And if it is happening, there's unfortunately not that much you can do, right? Another possibility is, again, price or reviews, because this is a large part of the purchasing decision on Amazon. So a lot of the traffic or conversion issues are just going to come back to price and reviews. So again, if your price or your reviews materially changed over the last period, that again is a big reason for your revenue going up or down, right? If it's a bad change, the revenue goes down. If it's a good change, obviously it would go up. So it could be internal, and then similarly with traffic, it could be external. So maybe your pricing is the exact same and your review score is the same, and maybe even have more reviews now than you did a few months ago. But during the same period, someone came out with a much more enticing product, right? With much better reviews, much more reviews, a much better price, right? They're selling at half the price that you are. So now people are less incentivized to buy your stuff. So just because your stuff is stagnant, so your reviews and price are the same, doesn't mean that people out there who are better than you aren't continuing to come out and are there to basically steal your business. So that's something you have to keep an eye out for. Another thing is that maybe someone else comes out with a product that's just more interesting to people. Like they come out with different designs. They're a bigger brand, right? So a big brand that never used to sell on Amazon is now on Amazon, and all of a sudden your product that comes from maybe like a generic brand, if you are one, or like a smaller unknown brand, again, which a lot of my viewers are, at this point, maybe your stuff is not as interesting anymore, right? Maybe you sold shoes and Nike wasn't on Amazon, so people just bought your stuff, and then Nike comes in and they start competing, and all of a sudden your stuff's not as interesting anymore, right? Or maybe someone comes in with a new design, a product with like different features, a product that has like an extra thing that you didn't have, and that starts to eat into your market share. So all of these are possibilities, and again, are things you should be keeping an eye out for to make sure your business is going to be in a good place. Another reason for conversion rate going down is that the amount of traffic you're getting from branded search, or basically searches from people who are familiar with your brand, is just going down, right? And those usually convert at a high rate. So when those go down, even if you manage to make up for it with other traffic, you'll just see that the overall conversion rate goes down, and that can affect your revenue and also can affect your traffic, right? So this is something I didn't mention earlier. If your search volume is the same and the keyword ranks are the same and everything's the same, it might just be that the search volume specifically for your branded search terms has just gone down, and people aren't searching up for your brand or product specifically anymore, which again will have a pretty significant and obvious impact on your revenue. One final reason for conversion rate going down is that you're just not driving traffic effectively. So not all traffic is equal. Traffic from one keyword might convert better than traffic from another keyword. Traffic from top of search can convert better than traffic from the third page of Amazon. Traffic from being ranked number 1 to 5 is going to convert a lot better than traffic from being ranked 40 to 50. So if you're not driving traffic effectively, or you change something out your strategy for getting traffic, that can also affect how your conversion rate's doing, right? So if your ads are no longer showing up for top of search, that might be an issue, right? Because that's going to drop your conversion rate, even if the traffic itself doesn't go down. Or if you used to rank a bit higher and now you rank lower on some of your keywords, you might be getting lower quality traffic, and that again might affect your conversion rate. So these are things that you need to keep in mind for conversion rate. And again, anything that happens to your business on a macro level, immediately analyze it from the lens of traffic, conversions, and average order value. Figure out what's wrong, and then try to narrow it down a bit, go down to the specific products and analyze it through the same lens again to see what might have happened. And once you guys identify which of the previous reasons that we mentioned have affected your business and have caused this drop in revenue, you can at that point decide, is it solvable or not? And if it is solvable, you can try to sort it out yourself or bring someone on to help you. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys found this useful. As always, if you do need help with your Amazon ads, feel free to go to www.aihello.com and just book a session to speak to either me or one of my specialists depending on who's assigned to you, and potentially get an account audit. I hope you guys again found this useful, and I'll see you again next week. Have a great day.